session of our FTP on advanced tools and techniques for research methodology. This event has been thoughtfully organized by the Research Foundation of India in collaboration with Shodh Malwa, Patil University, Gujarat, Eklavya University, JHRF, ARGA, and Edu Academic Inc. Now, I am pleased to introduce our esteemed session expert for today, Dr. Shesh Chabra sir. Sir is an associate professor at the DC Business School, Indore. He brings over 23 years of teaching experience across multiple academic levels. Holding a PhD, he has a strong international presence through numerous publications in reputed journals, conferences, and newspapers. Beyond academia, Sir actively contributes to global research, serving as a reviewer for esteemed journals. He is also on the editorial boards of prestigious international journals. His mentorship extends to Startup India, BeIncube Chhattisgarh, and various research organizations. A dedicated leader, he frequently chairs sessions at national and international conferences and contributes to FTPs and MDPs for institutions like the IMA and MSME, recognized by organizations such as the Rotary Club and Amity Business School. Sir continues to inspire us through his impactful contributions to academia and professional development. With this, I humbly invite Sir to take over the session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Asmi ma'am. Thank you for your kind words. Good evening, everyone. All my respected colleagues who have joined us today from different parts of the country. Uh, I believe we had met. We have discussed before when we talked about when we spoke about in my earlier session when we spoke about research design and sampling. So I believe this is the same group that I would be referring to. So the idea would remain the same, that if you have got any confusion or any doubt, or if you wish to contribute something, please feel free to do so. As I always tell you, that we are it's kind of assume man to call me an expert, but I still believe that it's always uh, a joint learning, what I should say, or it's always the idea that we all learn together. So I would have many things to learn from your experiences, your ideas as well, because the topic that is for the today for the day is about plagiarism and research ethics. So I was introduced to this idea of plagiarism way back in 2009 when I joined this university. The university that I taught till last year. That was a UK based university. So in that university, we are all our student assignments were to go through Turnitin um, for plagiarism check. So all these assignments they were submitted to Turnitin. Uh, Over the years, I've learned this idea that there is a differential idea between the plagiarism that we see in Indian context and the interpretation of the plagiarism in the Western, or in precisely in terms of UK. So it's a differential thing. So I would largely remain on the Indian context. Okay. I would highlight where I would find a difference between the Indian and the Western context, just to give you an idea. Okay. So as I keep telling you, it's not the session would mostly entail the ideas regarding a shared learning, if I can call it so, a shared learning from all my respected faculty members who have joined us today, this evening, for the next session of mine. So, without taking any time further, as I already requested, if you have got any doubts, or if you have, want to contribute something, please feel free, raise your hand and speak. Or you can, if you are unable to speak, or for any network issue or something, you can type it also. I would be most happy to to get that idea from you, or share your doubts or anything. So let's, with this words, let's start with the session. See, primary idea which all of us believe in is the idea that whatever research we are doing in whichever publication we are, see, I give you two ideas on that. First, before I get on. Many a times I've seen this thing that many people do research and they share it with the different government departments. If their research coincides with ideas of what is in the best practices type of things. Say, you're doing your PhDs on SDGs, uh, the Sustainable Development Goals, or anything like that. Okay, maybe on some labor studies, maybe on certain areas. So either you may directly share it with, or I've seen people directly sharing it with. Or giving a summary of their thesis to the government department, sharing it with government department. Or what happens that there are numerous the so-called best PhD award type of things which have started. So people go and present their thesis over there. You have got you have to upload the soft copy on the UGC portal. So it's all done. So many papers that you take out from as a part from your PhD goes on to different channels, journals, and other different channels which we get published into. My idea that I'm trying to tell you is that we share our research with many people around. Okay, so once you share with many people around, there are good chances that people would refer to what you have to say to. Okay, or there are good chances that people would talk about this idea that okay, this is how I can okay, like say for example, the simplest way can be referring to a research in your review of literature, or writing a discussion saying that my research matches with the research by A, and however it doesn't matches with the research by B, something like that. Okay, so in discussion, writing a discussion of paper, or drawing inferences or findings, we talk about these ideas as well. So the point essentially is that people in different capacities do refer to research that we do in one or the other way. Okay, and hence it becomes quite very important that we follow the ethical and the what we should say, the so-called legal requirements also of doing research and presenting the research. Like say, I've given an example, if you can see on the right hand side of your screen, respected Inder Singh Parmar sir, who is the Minister for Higher Education, Department for Technical Skills. He has referred to a research done by students at engineering college, guided by um, Dr. Dhakar. So he has referred to that research on to waste management. They had made some project on waste management. So you always look out for ideas. You always that's the reason I was telling you that even government would also refer to researches which are made by uh, people like us. Okay, so the young ardent researchers like you would be obviously, you would also find that people do extend, or people do understand what you have to say. Okay, so they believe in what you want to say on to that. So hence it becomes more than necessary that we follow the ethics of publication. Okay, so you are trying to follow a proper idea of giving credit to earlier publications. You are doing it in a proper way so that you maintain that idea of, of honesty and public faith. So, what are the issues that we would be talking as far as the research ethics are concerned? So these are the different ideas which are appearing on your screen. This is what I would be largely talking about. Okay, this is what I would be largely talking about. uh, so let's start with one by one. Have you obtained? I would divide this two into this approval and consent into two larger parts. First thing, have you obtained the consent from the so-called participant? Okay, like say for example, it is compulsory in case of medical research that you obtain a consent in a format prescribed, that this is what research is all about, and you are willingly participating in that research and things like that. What if there is a social science research way back in 20 I believe 2021, our university introduced this concept. 21-22, our university introduced this concept of an ethics form. Okay, that if the student is going through going to do an assignment which is only secondary data based, or would it involve primary data also? This was the first, a small simple format was there, which contained obviously other questions. So I'm sticking only to those questions which is which is connected to our topic. So our university introduced an idea, or a format which said that, okay, are you obtaining the data only through secondary sources or primary sources as well? So if you say that, or if your student declares that they are obtaining only data from secondary sources, then it's okay. The form ends. Okay, so you just write down the topic. You say that, okay, secondary sources. Just name few of the secondary sources that you would we can expect to see in your research, things like that, and just put up a signature, and that would be all. However, if you mention that I would be going for a primary data collection, then they would ask you further questions. Then there was 3-page forms running on to that thing. They would ask you, how would you collect the primary data, when are you likely to meet the person, or how would you what would be the format of data collection, many things they would be asking. Now, have you clarified? And one of the most important question was that have you clarified the person using or providing you this data, that what is the purpose of obtaining this data? One, two. Would you be using this data as an alias or with an actual name of the company? So have you clarified that say I would be using this data for an assignment purpose. This assignment would be submitted on such and such place. Would be checked for plagiarism, and uh, the data that you provide would be in the name of your company. Okay, so I would be using the name of the company. I would not be using a masking. I would not be masking the name of the company. I would be, as a part of assignment, I would be giving a company background and things like that. So have you clearly, there was a form that was to be done, that this is what is to be done, and they also wanted some signature, maybe, if that can be cross verified. Remember, during my last discussion, I talked about a case study method. Okay, that if you're using a case study method, it was I have published couple of cases. Okay, so it becomes more the compulsory in a case study. If you're getting a case study published, that you write to the person involved in getting the case information. You write to them officially that this is the final draft of the case that I would be submitting for publication. This would can be published online, offline, otherwise also. Okay, so this data would be available online as well. So please go through the attached thing, and please okay with this, something like that. Okay, yes, Samir sir, you have raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Sir, I wanted to ask about the case study. As
Yeah,
you said right now that the permission needs to be sought.
yeah,
Why would a company give a permission to publish anything negative about their own company?
great.
Because when you are
What-
writing a
Agreed,
case
agreed,
study,
agreed.
of pros and cons both have to be
Hmm,
given as it is.
hmm.
Why would a
See,
owner
Samir
of
sir,
the company agree to that?
agreed. Samir sir, two things in this case. Uh, I was, I have met. people around around the cluster who have who have created a turnaround. So they were not in a happy place, but they created a turnaround. They slowly drifted it from a company with labor issues, with financial issues and whatnot, into a more of a stable company. Okay, to a break even type of a company. Okay, and took them years. So they were very happy in describing this data. You are absolutely right that no company would be agreeing. So at the first place, so try and understand this thing. At the first place, the company won't give you any data. Try and get this thing. See, if I own a company who is getting into losses, or there are many problems getting around with my company, why would I talk to you on this? I won't talk to you. So, primarily, if you find that the companies are getting into the problems, the companies won't give you any data. They won't agree to even talk to you. Okay. So, in those cases, you have to obtain the entire data from the secondary sources. Okay. And once you obtain the data from the secondary sources, means which are available in public domain. Okay. So whatever I am making a claim that you have got this problem, that problem, and this is how the problem started, whatever story I am narrating, that is available on the newspapers, on different sources, on different trusted sources, not blogs. Please understand this. Okay. If you go by Harvard referencing format, blogs are not considered as a source because they are they are just opinions. Okay. So you say newspapers or any other say business magazine or anything you have taken into account as a secondary source. So they're good to go. You don't need any permission if you're used entirely secondary sources. But if you're used any primary source, say for example, if you have gone to the company, you have got the data from managers, you have interviewed managers, they have shared data with you, anything of that sort has happened, okay, then you have to obtain a written permission from the company. Have I made my point clear?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I got it. So, in short, you are trying to say that whenever you are approaching for a case study to any company, we
Yes.
should try and see that whatever problems we have identified from external perspective, we
Hmm.
can offer a solution to the company and then approach them. We can give you more concise or appropriate solution if you share the data.
No, the idea that I'm trying to tell you, Samir sir, is that it entirely depends on what is your idea of writing a case. Say, for example, I want to just write that employee satisfaction at ABC Limited, for example. Okay. So I got to know from an external source, means to say that there was a newspaper carrying this news that there was a recent strike in that company. Okay. So I should then it's my idea to say that okay, why was the what are the reasons of the strike, this that, and what is the manager's perspective on strikes, anything. So provided the company wants to share that type of a data, or what the company has done in that case. Okay, I may or may not be offering a solution. That's a different idea. Okay, but the primary idea of writing a case is that you are trying to talk about that what is the case situations are mostly descriptive in nature. Okay, so in some separate session I would talk about case study writing and things like that. So my idea that I'm trying to tell you is, in short, if I summarize this entire idea, is that please tell the participant that what you are going to do exactly with the data. Is the data going to get aggregated, and thereby there would be no individual things remaining in the data? Say for example, if I ask around 40 people are here in the group. If I ask 40 people about if I write on the chat that how satisfied you are with your job, rated between 1 to 5, say for example. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. Then before you answer me this thing, I should tell you that okay, this is what this data would be. Why I'm asking this question? You're getting my point? Because the person who is participating in a research or survey or whatever you call it, I'm not getting into that technicality, must understand that how this data would be treated, what would be the use of this data. Just saying that this would be used for an academic purpose may not suffice the purpose always. Once you go in the field, you collect the data, then people say, for example, I give you another idea that if you're using a dictaphone for recording the interview, okay, then it's a part of ethics that you tell the people that you would be recording that this is the interview schedule, these are the questions, or these are the semi-structured questions, whatever the case may be, and tell the people that this is the dictaphone that I would be using. And once this is done, I would be sharing with you a copy, okay, before it's sent for publication. So I will be sharing that final copy with you. So once I obtain your consent, then only I would be sharing the final thing to you. So it's must that you must tell the right picture to the participant in the research, that what is this research all about. Okay. Two, you must look into, you must obtain a formal consent before you make the participants in the research. They should be agreeing willingly in your research. If you're except see, the simple idea is that if you float a questionnaire and people answer to that thing, then in a questionnaire you should write what is this research all about, how is this research going to be used, things like that. Get it clarified. Okay. So that it becomes my idea that whether I should participate in this research or whether I would not be participating. That say you are asking me my name or my email in that research. Okay. That means you can, the data can be traced back to me. Yes. Agreed. If I'm asking any email, even if I'm asking your email in that research in a Google form, that means the data can be traced back to you. Agreed.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm asking an say information regarding your income, okay, so it can be traced back to you, whatever income you declare. Say, for example, I'm not getting into any sensitive data. So whatever information you are declaring would be under your email. That means it can be traced back to you. Okay. So why then people would be ready to share such type of information? Question number one. Question number two, do do you put it on that thing that okay, once this data would be the aggregation from these data would be used, and however the researcher or if researcher assures that no one would be able to look into the individual data which is being fed. Okay. The system would do something about it, things like that. Can you assure your participants in research about the that the data that are they are sharing as a part of their research would remain only with you and would be used in aggregate? Okay. Do that. Okay. Because you won't be obtaining a formal consent from everyone. Okay, that please sign this form types. Nobody would do. Okay. In many government survey, they make you tick that okay, you can use my data for this purpose. Okay. So that is a different form. But even in research also, please make sure that you are obtaining that type of a thing. So I told you these are two parts. So one is the approval and consent from the participant by telling them that how and when and why such research would be used. Okay. Second part is that you must be aware of the publication guideline. As of now, I'm just pointing this thing to you, and I would be using it later. Sorry. Okay. Before I get on to this point, let me ask you a simple question. I want to do a research on employee satisfaction. Okay, in say in institution. Okay, in educational institution. Uh, can any one of you please help me in obtaining the data from your college? Was I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So Samir sir, can you please help me, since you have you are the one who is answered this? Can you please help me in obtaining the data from your institution regarding employee
May-
satisfaction?
maybe.
Maybe. Okay, great. And anyone else who can, say that, okay, yes, I would help you in getting the data? Anyone? Okay. Nevertheless, Samir sir, only you are the one who is listening. I take it that way. Okay. Okay. Somebody yes who has said yes. Nilambra sir, they have said yes. Ah, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So kind of you. Now, say for example, you two are kind people to help me in getting the data. Now, say that for example, there are some problem, some faculty
Yes,
members
sir.
of. Okay. Uh, okay, Shweta ma'am has also said yes. So kind of you, Shweta ma'am. So kind of you. Say for example, you three have agreed. Great. This would suffice my sample size also. Now, say for example, in any out of three, Shweta ma'am, Samir sir, or Nilambra ma'am, in any one of them, uh, the employed data, once I collected the data, any one of your institution shows that, people are not very happy in the institution. They have pointed, some people have taken it very seriously about the survey, that since, it has been recommended by a person within the faculty members, because see, you would be one who would be, talking to them that please fill this questionnaire. So they took it the survey very seriously, and they actually filled it very religiously. Okay, and now this indicates some serious problems. Okay, the survey, overall analysis of survey indicates some serious problems in your institution. Okay, and your HOD or your director learns about this thing, that there is some form getting circulated within the faculties, and this has been triggered by Samir sir or Shweta ma'am or Lamra ma'am, any one of them, and this is indicating some issue. Now, what would you want me to do? You got my point?
Yeah. You as in the position of HOD, right?
No, I was in the position of an external researcher. Your HOD or
Acha.
director has learned that there is some form circulating amongst the faculty through Samir sir. He's I okay, I offer you a co-author position also. So there is some form getting circulated. So since you would say that to your faculty that I would be I am doing a research types. Okay. So Samir sir is doing some research on employee satisfaction. It is creating some, it's the result are not very positive for the organization. What would you want me to do as an external research partner of yours?
It would be expected of you to get the consent of the institution, because this kind of data being collected wherein it is a negative
Hmm. So
result would
that's the reason
tarnish
I
the
asked you
image.
that, Samir sir, would you help me in that? So
Yeah.
would you want me to cover up certain areas? No, of the record I am asking. Of the record I am asking. Would you want me to cover up certain areas so that you can go and tell it to your HOD, or would it put you in danger? Would it jeopardize you? Do you feel it may?
Maybe.
Maybe, yes, great. So what would you want me now to do? Maybe you would want me to maybe say do some apply some plaster of Paris here and there to hide certain things, or maybe to not to very deliberately show certain things. Yes,
But that would be the term which you are trying to explain: falsification and fabrication of data.
that is what it is. See, the idea that I'm trying to tell you is simple. Okay, that what happens that many of us, while doing some research or something like that, either we do it in our own organization, or we approach some friends organization, someone who can be easy to go types. We can always discuss and debate on that how we should collect the data. That's a different idea. I'm not debating it as of now. Okay, because that would take us away. But say for example, if I take a help of a friend or some known person or my own organization is involved into it and the results are not so, encouraging, I won't use any positive or negative, but the results are not so encouraging, then what would happen? Then obviously I would be under pressure to tell something which the data may not be indicating, or I may be able, I would be asked to put mascara or makeup on certain ideas which are not, to tell them very mildly, or to, to not to disclose things. Okay, even if the data is showing, telling so. Okay, this is how practically a researcher gets into, you can question the data accuracy. This is problem number one, or this is, the example number one, why someone would get into, you can question mark the data accuracy. Second, you would have heard about the idea of conflict of interest. Yes, that you have to declare, in all good journals you have to declare a conflict of interest, that whether you are in a conflict of interest. Now, how does a conflict of interest would occur? In simple terms, say, as I told you, that I collected data from my own organization. Okay, I am doing some research on students, and many of them were from my own institution. Okay, so the chances can be that students would be influenced. Okay, if not, if I have not asked them to do a research in certain way, but the students may be influenced in certain way for a desired answer, maybe. Okay, that may be a part two of the issue. Okay, so I hope you are getting the issues or the areas of that thing. Okay, you have not practically gone out, you have not practically conducted the research, you just filled in the form, or you have just got some of the data and copy pasted it, rest of the data, say you have got only 30 questionnaires filled, and since there was a pressure for you to submit your API form and on, so what you did, you copy pasted the next 30 to make it 120, 110 type of a research, and now you are trying to publish it. Okay, telling something of the story which may not be exactly the story like. Okay, so I'm trying to give you all possible ideas where such things practically you may look in, or practically may happen like. Okay, I'm not saying that all researchers do this. Please try and understand this. I'm not trying to paint the picture for anything, but I'm trying to tell you of the instances of the situations where such things are likely to occur types. Okay, so that is where the things may take a serious form of misconduct. Okay, now before I start with this idea, I'm pretty sure that every one of you is aware of this word plagiarism. Okay, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great, great. Then please help me with two simple questions. Okay, all my learned faculties members, please help me with two questions. First question, uh, I am writing a research paper. I would be, say, consulting another 20 papers. Okay. For my research paper, I am consulting another 20 papers. Out of these 20 papers, almost 8 papers I would be using in review of literature. Okay. So I would be writing their names. Like, say, I use Samir sir's paper, Shweta ma'am's paper, okay, Tejasvi ma'am's paper, Rajesh sir's paper. So I used all these papers. So I gave you references that uh, Dixit's as to 2025 talk about this idea. Okay, so I wrote your name and I gave you references also. Now for the rest of the 12 papers, uh, I read them all. What I did, I converted them into my own language. Okay, and I wrote them all. Okay, so one issue is that it's my own language. Two, it's all mixed up now. Okay, so it's all mixed up now, and as I said, it's all my language. Now my question is, you got my situation. I'm referring to 20 papers. 8 are used in review of literature, so I'm giving reference. 12 are the one that I've used in my own language, and it's a combination. So one line from there, two lines from there. So it's all I've used a combination of papers, and it's all in my language. Got my situation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now my first question is, why should I refer to this? Why should I give reference to these 12 papers? This is my first question.
Because you have referred to them, na, while drafting your research paper.
Great. So I have referred to them, Samir sir. Now what I did, I converted them all into my language. Okay. Now the idea which I got from them, it's all in my converted. I've got converted into my own language. I've not used any of their language. Then,
And still, even though you have converted it in your own language,
hmm
the study was already priorly conducted by them, and they
okay.
have already arrived at their inferences. So that is the
hmm
reason the term there is a difference in term of references and bibliography. Bibliography is the more right term to be cited here for, because even though you have referred but not quoted it in your text directly, then also you have to write it. So citing is important.
Okay. Now, so okay, I'm not taking this discussion further. My second question is that if I give reference to all the papers, all the 20 of them, eight already I'm willing to give. Now, since you say that, I would give reference to another 12 also. Then people would ask me the next question, that what is my contribution in the research? I have read the material from 20 papers and I have referred 20 papers. So what is my contribution in this? Reading from
There
20
is no
papers.
contribution. No? There is no contribution. As of now, there is no contribution, because any research paper should be having some uniqueness or addition to what has already been researched.
That is what I'm saying. Na? The best part is that I should not refer to the 12 papers then.
Then how? Then if you don't refer it, then how will you come to know what has already been researched?
I'm not, I'm using them, but I'm not giving reference to them. Try and get my point so that, I can prove myself smart.
So that is plagiarism only, na?
So Nilambra ma'am says that although it will be our language, the original idea is not mine. Just paraphrase the sentence will not mean it's my original contribution. Absolutely right. Now this question was asked to me, and at a length we discussed it. I'm not cutting short the entire discussion. Was one of my research scholars when I was teaching this idea of plagiarism and ethics. So he went on inquiring this or discussing it for another half an hour, trying to understand that if I tell it all, okay, if I say it all that, okay, this is what it is, then what would be the idea then? Okay. Then what I would tell people that what is my contribution? Reading 20 research papers, okay, and summarizing them in my own language. So that is what, you are right on that thing, that you must be able to understand this idea that you must bring in something on the table. Okay, what is that you are bringing on the table? Please be clear when you are conducting a research. Doesn't always mean that it has to be primary based research, database research only, then it would be, you would be bringing in something. Even in the secondary research also, if you're what is that you are trying to bring on a table? If it is already been researched, okay. So one of my professors jokingly remarked that, sir, please understand, it is research. That means you are searching it again. So he would use that as a joking remark always. So I hope this is what you got my point to understand that this is what would be a serious offense, that you are using something on a something to to goof around, something to play around what I talk about. And by not crediting the authors that you have quoted in your research, that you have used in your research, or that you have you so if I'm making any assert assertion, if I'm giving you any fact, anything, not only data, that needs to be given credit to. The simple rule of thumb is this, that if I'm making any assertion, if I'm saying that, okay, this is this, okay, then there need to be something, a source need to be quoted. If I'm giving you so many people understand that, okay, so I should give reference only to data. No, The reference is not only to data, any assertion that you are making. If you are making a statement, give it a reference to. Okay. So I would be coming later to self plagiarism. Please note that on over here. So in context, I would be using self plagiarism. Okay. So UGC is getting onto a tighter norms as far as the plagiarism concept is concerned. Okay. Now we move on to the next idea. Okay, submission fraud. Now, before I get on to submission fraud, let me take you back over with only one point that I started from here, that authors and researchers must be aware of the publication guidelines. Okay, so before you submit your paper or you are trying to get on to your paper to some journals, please read their submission guidelines. Okay, why I'm telling you, because largely all good journals would carry this data, that what is the gestation period that you can expect. That means what is a normal period that you can expect between publication, between the submission, review and publication. So they would give you a rough period about it. If they have not written nothing about it, go ahead and write an email to the editor. Okay, or someone, the contact email that they have been given. So write an email to them asking them that what is the what is the expected time period that I can look forward to. Because you should be clear before you submit the paper that okay, this is what expected time can be there before in between submission of paper to publication, and if I'm available for such time. So if my paper is available for such time. Yes, Samir sir.
So this is applicable also to the chapters which are published in
Anything,
peer-reviewed books, right?
anything. So you
Okay.
must be clear about that, how much what is the gestation period. Okay, how much time I have to wait. Because what people do in general is that they submit it to multiple journals. Okay. Now, forget about that whether this is ethical or not ethical, forget about that, or keep that in on a side. Okay. Unethical for sure. Keep that on one side. Now I tell you the actual problem. If you read it from this slide, then what happens is that journals often use plagiarism checking software. Okay, now different journals would use different types of plagiarism or plagiarism check software. Either they do that, or what they do is that they would ask you to present on to a plagiarism report. In many cases, since you talked about Samir sir book chapters, in many cases they would ask you to present a plagiarism report from a so-called from which can say that okay, this is the plagiarism, and a declaration saying that I have not used any AI related material or something. They are already a pre-formatted type of a declaration. You have to sign and give it to them. Okay, so even if as a publisher I may, or it's getting a plagiarism check software is very easy. Now, this is where what would happen. Say I have submitted it to journal A. Now I waited for say 3 months. Okay, and after 3 months, I'm I see that was an expected time to get published, but somehow journal A did not publish within that time period. Before I send it to some other journal, I must communicate this to the editor that if you have checked the plagiarism using any software, please delete it from the database of that software. This is must. Please understand this thing. Many people ask me that which plagiarism software is the best. That idea is obviously different idea. Okay. But I would strongly recommend you that please do not use any anti-plagiarism or plagiarism check software, even though it is freely available or it is paid also. Okay, provided if you don't have the right to delete it from the database. I repeat, it is not about using a free software or a paid software, or I've seen this trend going on that many PhD people, they say, for example, they take up a subscription of a software. They create a pool and take a subscription of the software, so that's a shared cost. Agreed. I'm not commenting anything on that. But my idea is that you must, whether it is free, paid, or any type of software, or you are asking someone else to check plagiarism for you because their university has allowed them an access. Please make sure that before you send them a paper for plagiarism check, please make sure that they have got the rights to delete the software once it is checked from the database. Okay, they must have that rights, admin rights, or they can ask, or they can get it deleted. Okay, because what would happen the next time it would check, some other software would check it, the chances that it would, the chances that it would get your own paper. And that is what I told you, that I would be using this thing, that this is how you would get self plagiarized. The chances of getting self plagiarized, this has happened in many cases of our student assignments also, that without getting the previous paper deleted, they submit the next paper. So the chances of getting self plagiarism would be very high. Okay, this is one area of self plagiarism. Please understand this. This is one area. I would come to the second area also. Okay, so hence this is the problem when before you actually send it to some other journal, please ask the editor, write an email that I'm withdrawing, okay, the paper for this and this reason. Say that, for example, you had talked about 3 months, but it has already been 4 months now. So without any further wait or delay, I'm sending it to another journal for consideration. So please delete it from your database, confirm that, and so that I can, I'm not self plagiarized onto anyway. So do that and send it to next journal. Okay. However, if it's always better. Like say I talked to you on another note also. All good journals, before they publish your case studies, would need that, especially the case focus, or journals which are especially publishing cases, would need that you have taught this case for at least for say two classes, or at least to two different classes you have taught on this thing, or the case has been discussed. And on a better side, it is also good that if you are getting a case published, then it's also good that you actually teach in the class, the draft of it, so that you understand that, are the students trying to get what you are trying to, what you are trying to point it out times. Okay, so because that can be mentioned in your teaching notes, and you can improve your teaching notes before you actually send it across. So if you have, on a similar note, there may be chances that you might have presented certain paper in a conference. So there would have been question answers on certain things. So or there were, the session chair might have given you certain inputs. So improve on with based on those inputs, and then send it for publication as a paper or to some. That is perfectly good idea. So what people do is something like this. Okay, UGC makes it clear that one research, one credit. But no, what people would do, they would create, they would manipulate uh, the the topic, right from the topic, say consumer behavior on product preference. So now you can do that, a study of buying behavior of a product, something like that. Okay, so it's a nutshell that you can change on that thing. So you create say cosmetic changes in your existing paper which is already been published, okay, to create something as what you call as a new paper. Okay, and I'm putting that new in the quotes, and that is how you create a duplicate publication. Okay, now there are chances that this again can catch you into self plagiarism. I told you that one idea was a different thing. Now this can be another idea, that where you can be caught in self plagiarism type of an issue. Okay, so it's always better that the idea is that that what you do is that you change some lines here and there, you try, and what I should say, intentionally plagiarize. Okay, you try and intentionally plagiarize certain ideas or certain things into that thing. That means you exactly, you actually have an intent to cheat. If I tell it so, you exactly have an intent to cheat. Okay, so you have already thought about this thing, that okay, I would change here and there, and I would resubmit it to some other journal. Say the first data was published online, so I would send it to some print type of a journal, so that I find some route inside Okay, I find some lane inside. So you're just trying to create that thing. So you have got a full intention to cheat on that thing. Okay. So what it can be like, it can be a major part which you want to actually copy paste, or it can be a minor part. So that is minor part would be something as saline slicing. Okay. So what you are trying to do, you are trying to recreate some part of it, and rest part you are changing. Okay. So that is what you are trying to do about it. Okay. Now, people are self-obsessed. So, in order to increase their citation score, so what they would do, they would cite it in their own paper. Now, I'll give you a classical example. Uh, while reviewing a paper, what we do is that we check onto the reference list to see that if they have followed the format or not. 9 on 10 type of papers of all my reviewer things, I find that they are largely into the format, the AP or Harvard, whatever format is required, they are into the format. While checking this, I found a very strange type of reference. The paper was management, of some related to management leadership. Now, this reference came from structural engineering background, something, leadership in creating structure, something like that. Now, when I went on to check the full reference of the paper, I found that that paper has got practically, it was more of an engineering industry based paper, and the paper that was in my hand for reviewing, since it's a blind review, I don't know the author or anything like that. It was more of a management perspective or leadership perspective. So I questioned that to the editor that, please check it with this thing, that how is this, how are these two? And I wrote that to, in our reviewer comment, I wrote that to the author also, asking about that. Can you please explain that how is this paper, especially this paper, of the citation that you have given and the reference that you have given is linked with uh, the what should I say, with the topic, or with the with the context that you have mentioned it in that paper. Okay. So that is what happens, that people do, it's, I'm not saying that citing one's own publication, it's no, it's wrong, but the problem is that you're trying to do it out of context. Okay. So that is what is something which is may not be acceptable on that idea. Okay. Now, with due respect to all the research guides, if you are listening to me, or all my senior colleagues, HODs, directors, senior professors who are listening to me, with due respect, many a times it does happens that you know the your guide would automatically be a co-author. If you're taking out a paper from PhD, I still understand that your guide can be a your co-author. But what if but what if you know uh, that say, for example, I'm your director, and I say that, okay, if you use my name, the chances of it getting published are good, and you would be getting it published soon, and things like that. So not directly telling you, but indirectly hinting. Sometimes it would be an indirect hint given to you that if you can include my paper into co-author, I can see that you get remunerated for your, or for your expenses are covered for your travel to present this paper and things like that. Something something that. Okay, there are many ways in which, by, as a director, if I'm using my example, probably I can influence you to, not directly, but to, and you also would, catch the hint that, okay, what is I'm leading this discussion to. So that is something which everyone, today you may be a victim to this, tomorrow you may be in those positions. Please make sure that what makes you eligible for authorship. Okay, being a co-author. Okay, say for example, you may be guiding research projects to your students, in MBA or in PG studies, they would have some research projects to do. Okay, you're creating a paper out of it. So the chances are that okay, I may ask my student that okay, that let's write a paper together. Okay, then obviously his or her name, because since he or she was the primary person to get that data from company or to do a summer internship or to whatever the research may be, he or she might be the primary person to do that. Okay, so that is what what can create and what is my contribution onto that to make me a co-author? I must actually question it. So say for example, I've written things for you, I have structured your paper. So whose name should appear the first, the students or mine? What do you think? Whose name should appear the first?
Students.
Obviously it should be the students. What if I if I fool around the students, I take the data from him or her, and then I say that okay, let's see if I can if I can make some sense. I liked your research very much, or this and that, and without even acknowledging this, I get it published. Forget about the name of the student, first or second semester, I get it published directly. There have been cases like this. There have been cases that that as a part of our reviewer agreement, we need to understand this thing, that the paper which has been sent to us for review, we would not use this paper for for publication purposes. Okay, that what would happen, that if I catch up that paper, I do some cosmetic changes into that paper, and I write my name and send it to some journal for publication. Who would know about it? You're getting my point. So people have tried ways and means in their own capacity, by influencing, by offering some, what I told you, soft money, that okay, your remuneration, you would you would be compensated, or your expenses would be taken care of, or if you get my name into this paper, since I'm a reviewer, I'm a known reviewer, I can make sure that your the paper is published fast. Any means, okay, without actual contribution into research, you're trying your own means and ways to make yourself a co-author. Think about it. Okay, as I told you, today you may be a victim of this system, tomorrow please do not try to create this system, okay, by any means on that. We already talked about conflict of interest. I already talked about this idea that how conflict of interest can impact the manuscript. And once if you declare that you are in conflict of interest, then actually then it that your research would lose that weight or that value per se. Once the people know that okay, there is a conflict of interest. Now, what can you do? We have talked enough about the ideas. So very quickly, I would tell you these ideas. The first, do not try to intentionally create. Uh, do not try to cheat. Okay, I give you instances where people intentionally try to cheat. You look into. I give you some examples from student assignments. Okay, what you do, you copy paste certain things, then you right click, create synonyms, change it, and try and do that. Now you have got Chat GPT and other AI tools wherein you write refine and then you give them the entire block. So you have got a new language altogether coming on from this thing. Okay, you can make it, that how it is been, how the language has been created. You can make that thing. So people, don't use their brain. Since we are so obsessed with artificial intelligence that we don't even use our own intelligence. Okay, and so what we do is that we copy paste it, put it on to that thing, and then on the higher end side, we declare also that we have not taken anything from AI. Okay, even in papers, I have which I reviewed. There is a declaration by the authors that they have used certain they have, which type of what I should say, which type of softwares, AI software they have used, and for what purpose they have used. Say for they might have used some software to check the grammar or some software to check the language. That's it. Okay. Otherwise, the softwares are not otherwise used. AI softwares are not otherwise used. Okay, this is a declaration that you must be that all good journals would be needing that thing. So don't try to intentionally fool around with the things. If you have used in plagiarism software, yes, maybe like Turnitin or some other software, yes. If you have
Yes, sir.
used if
Yes,
you have
yes.
used any any anti plagiarism detection software, this these softwares are very smart. They would catch you in one few minutes that this is where you have tried to goof around. Okay, so don't try to goof around. You are still not since people created software, but the idea is that we it's the software that asks us to prove us human, that take here to say that that you are a human. Okay, so understand that idea. Okay, don't try to use many definitions. Even if it comes in your research paper, please do not overuse your definition that you are using 2 or 3 definitions. Okay, the chances of it getting plagiarized would be high. Use one definition, or maybe if possible, if you can if you can write uh, the context of the definition and give credit to the author. Okay, better do that. If it becomes that the definition would carry the meaning of what I am trying to explain, put it in inverted commas, so that any good software would understand that anything which is put in inverted commas is quoted as it is. Okay, and that should be excluded types. Okay, so it's only that you try to that is what I said. Don't try to create synonyms which can run you out of the meaning. So forget about that you will not be plagiarized, but the problem now would be that people won't understand the word that you have used. Okay, so that is what I was talking to you, that try and use as much sources as you can. The length of the range of the sources should be wide and varied. For writing a research paper, use good number of sources. I'm not trying to limit you on to that thing, but for even for writing research papers, use good number of sources. The idea would be two. The benefit of it would be using two. One, people would understand that since you that would reflect your depth of reading. That is point number one. Point number two is that it would give an idea to the authors, or to the to the reviewer, or whomsoever is reading onto that thing, that you have referred to n number of sources. And point number two would be that say if I use say 30 resources, or 30 30 40 different types of papers, and out of 30 40 only less than one is the single source reference, and that too from only 10 or 15 sources show up plagiarism, and that is from every source that is less than one. So the overall plagiarism would not even reach 10%. Okay, so you would be happy with that idea. So these are the two practical things where you should use number of resources. Okay, if you are a non-native speaker, okay, see, this is what applies in researches also, that do not try to, if you are a non-native speakers, you may be referring to some research which may be carried either in some type of a different language, or you are not very say you know that language, but you will not be exactly expert into that language. Please use some language expert to get it converted. Okay, don't only rely on the Google translator. Okay, because that meaning can be a different idea. So what that essentially wanted to say and what you are trying to say would be maybe a different idea. So please don't get on to that thing. Okay. So uh, as I told you, that even if you are using a phrase from the research, say you are using a word that is, the laws are archaic. So I use this term archaic. Sound very general term, but since I've used it from some research, please put a reference to that thing. That okay, this person has said that laws are archaic, because as I told you, you are making an assertion, you're making a statement. So if you're making any statement, you're using any assertion, please make sure that you're using that. Okay, that this idea, of plagiarism, that this is, say, for example, laws are archaic. So you are making that as an statement. So please use a reference with that thing. Okay. So I already talked about this idea that do not try to, uh, do not try to. You should be very careful about the anti-plagiarism softwares. Okay. So be very thoughtful onto that thing. That can you actually use anti-plagiarism software, or do you have that right of getting it deleted from the database? And finally, try and understand that what is the overall and the single source and how it is interpreted. So that's how you differ it from an Indian university to a Western university. In Western universities, both carry a meaning, single source and overall source. So at times, it may be an idea that your overall source, your overall plagiarism may be 20%, but single source is less than 1%. So it doesn't matter. But in Indian context, it should be, they would have already prescribed that it should be under 10 or under 15 or something like that. So, please stay back with this idea that, okay, what is, where the paper is submitted and what is their idea of plagiarism. Okay. In both in terms of overall and single source. So finally, this is what I would like to talk to you, that I started telling you that, uh, whatever, in whichever field you are researching, not only in medicine, whichever field you are researching, somebody is referring to your research as a review of literature. Somebody is talking to you, somebody is giving your reference research as an example to students in any capacity. Okay, in any capacity, but someone some place is using your research. Please make sure that there is an honesty. Okay, you maintain that accountability, responsibility of what you are saying. Okay, don't say, just say it on the, just because you just wanted to research, you can say anything about it. No, please stay back, and please make sure that things are done in proper and accountable, responsible way. So uh, for more guidelines, obviously Committee on Publication Ethics has got uh, detailed guidelines on the research ethics. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for your patient listening. If you have got any questions, any comments, if you want to add something to what has been discussed, if you have got some personal experiences, anything like that, please feel free to do so. The stage is now open for everyone. Yes. Anyone who would like to add on something, or if you have got any comments to make, or if you want to say something, or if you have got any questions, please feel free to do so.
No, sir, I have a question.
Yes, yes, please,
Sir,
please, you want to say. Go ahead.
recently, most of the researcher we are using the AI software. Uh,
Yeah. Hmm.
so, how can we optimally use that AI software with avoiding the plagiarism? What would be
Okay.
your suggestion towards using these softwares?
Sir, only two. Use,
Yes.
as I told you, that use AI software in the region where you actually need a help. Okay, say for example, language improvement, grammar checking, something like that. Okay, the primary idea of research, the primary, if I put it very right and precisely, the primary idea of intelligence in the research should be yours. Okay, the non-core areas of the research, or the non-core areas where you find that, okay, I can, if I can improve on the language, or if I can take some help on the grammar side, that is what AI can do. Okay, but don't give up. And let me tell you one thing more. For that matter, any software of AI that you use, irrespective of which software that you're using, Chat GPT, Gemini, or whatever the case may be, when you give them that data, okay, they would store that as a part of their database. Okay, so please be, please remember this caution, that if if you want to check that as part of it, if you want to improve on certain part of that thing where you find that okay, you're try it first on yourself. But if you want that okay, this is something which I'm not pretty sure that the language is trying to say, which what is my intention to say, only give that part to AI to improve over the language,
Yes, sir.
because then they would store in their database.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay, anyone else? If you have got any questions or anything more, or shall we call it a day? Fair enough then. If no further questions or no further inputs from your side, let's call it a day. Thank you everyone for your patient listening, for your valuable time that you spent with me for these 2 different days on our uh, faculty development program. And thank you very much, all my respected colleagues who have joined me today from different parts of the country. I understand that for working for entire day, that it has been a long day, and still you find that you find time to uh, join for sessions like this. So it shows your dedication, it shows your efforts towards self improvement. So thank you very much. I appreciate the efforts, I appreciate your understanding on that thing. So thank you very much everyone for your time and contribution and participation also. Thank you, Asmi ma'am, thank you Yogesh ji for making this happen, and a big thanks goes to Saurabh Jain sir and Ajay Jain sir from my RFI family. It's because of all of you that these things are to be or we are discussed on these ideas. Joseph sir, you have raised your hands. There is a hand raised by Joseph sir. Please go ahead, Joseph sir. You want to say something, Joseph sir, or you want to contribute something? Please go ahead. Okay, I believe there may be some okay, so thank you very much for your contribution today, and keep coming. Okay, and as I said, it's always uh, it's always that we all put together would create an understanding to the pool of knowledge, so that would be beneficial for all of us at some point or the other. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
shall I conclude?
Yes, yes, Asmi ma'am. All over to you. And thank you, Asmi ma'am, for your, for your kind words and for your, conduction of this session.
So, it's all yours. So on behalf of the entire RFI team, a heartfelt thank you to Sir for such an amazing, enriching, and knowledgeable session. I would also like to extend my thanks to all the participants for the active participation. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Asmi ma'am. Thank you, all my participants, respected faculty members. Thank you.